I just mounted up these square rods, and they will be positioned instead of these rods here on the new x-axis to kind of hold the gantry together, and these ones will be mounted on that plate that I milled or drilled out previously. So this ain't really the best work fixturing, but it's the best I can accomplish by now, I think. So it will do. I just need to take off the ends a bit so that they really match each other, since they will decide the width of the gantry, so it's pretty important that they are kind of the same length. So we'll give this a try and we'll see how it goes. Well, this strategy here works a lot better when it comes to cutting off thicker pieces of material. The problem though is that I'm only using the tip of the tool. So with this other strategy that I used here, was able to use a lot of the side of the tool, but the finish wasn't very good actually, and it took longer time, so I think I will go with this strategy in the future. Alright, I think I gotta get some servos or some hybrid steppers, cause my spindle just crashed and I was on my way down here and I was taking it very carefully and everything was working super fine, and I don't know what happened. Hopefully the spindle ain't too damaged, but yeah, this wasn't good at all. So perhaps this strategy was better than have what shall be the new x-axis for my 64 router. It ain't too complicated really, just a large sheet of aluminium 10mm thick with a lot of holes in, and then I will have some square 70-75 aluminium mounted on top of this sheet, and then the rails will be mounted on top of the square aluminium piece. So since I needed to make a lot of holes, and I only used a milling strategy for making holes previously, I thought that it will be interesting to try some drilling out on the router, so I did, and it was a kind of a trial and error process, but I managed to get it working pretty good. Didn't drill all the way through though, since it's taking some time, so I went down to 6mm of depth and then I drilled the remaining 4 by hand. But I got kind of a good steering or some help from the hole, so I think it turned out pretty okay. Then I used this one on the other side to remove some burst that came from when the drill penetrated. As we can see here, there are some pockets here to the side, and that is because the upper two holes to the left, well, I was almost done. My Z-axis stepper driver decided to quit, so the router decided to do a rapid slot to the next hole, so decided to take off some material to make it a bit better looking, even though as much material as possible would have been good, but felt a bit sketchy to show up a slopey slot here on YouTube, so I did that. And this counter sinking here or milling out against the hole was nothing that was planned really either, but I had to do that since my trial and error drilling experiment caused some chip welding when I tried to drill some 5mm holes with high speed steel, and it was clearly a bit too high of an RPM. But yeah, the plan is to mount this piece now to Grandpa's wooden workbench, and then to drill manually in here, tap and mount the piece with some M6 screws. Then so I decided to go to a depth of 37 with the caliper. So let's drill the rest holes. So now all the holes are drilled in this square rod here, and there is some aluminium here and there in Grandpa's garage now. But yeah, let's remove this one and try to tap it. It's 7075 aluminium. I never used it before, so it will be interesting to see how the tapping goes. So here we have the holes, and you can also see my little mistake down here, or that error that happened. The screwdriver is lit up with a tap from Folco. I'm using their little tap kit, and gotta say that it's awesome. I have tapped hundreds of holes now with this one. I haven't had to replace one tap yet, so super happy. But never tapped 7075 aluminium, so let's see how that goes. The taps, there are 3 taps for every dimension, so first one taps just lightly, and then the next one a bit more, and then the third one to the final dimension. And in the beginning I didn't use any cutting fluid or oil, but that really helps. I almost always use this little machine to tap aluminium, and I just set this one a bit light, and as long as the hole is a bit deeper than the tap, it works just fine. So the threading is now done, and well, yeah, this is what it looks like. So let's put in some screws and check it out. So now I drilled and tapped and mounted the screws on the other side. It went kind of good, a bit too good on 2 of the holes since I drilled all the way through, but doesn't really matter to me. I'm not a machinist yet, so But anyways, the rails will be placed like this, and the holes in the screws here, the distance here is so that it's in the center between the rail holes. So since I am a bit out of time and I need to study some, I'm thinking about ditching the idea of using the router to make the holes and instead simply clamp the rail down and use a 7mm drill as an initial guide. Since the hole in the rail is 7mm, then simply drill a small groove so that I will get my 5mm drill right in the center, and it will be like I did on the Z axis. It went very fast, and but I will try this out now. Instead of center punching it, simply using the drill. So yeah, I think that will be most time efficient and have most likely as good of precision, since I can move this one around a bit if the hole is a bit off. Alright, I'll do that. So the first rail is now mounted, and it took about an hour to center punch and drill and tap it and mount it, so much quicker than setting it up on the 6040. So I just aligned this first one here slightly so that it will be pretty straight. So now I set up the other rail for drilling and just measuring here so that it's pretty aligned. There's always some room for adjustment, since there is a little wiggle room around the screws, but I think this is I will aim to go for something like this, and then I will tweak the rest when I have the screws mounted. Alright, so let's continue to do some drilling. So then you get a small mark right in the center of each one of the holes that one can center punch and drill, and this will be out of pretty high precision actually, probably just as good as on a cheap router. So yeah. So I started off with drilling on the center punch with this little pre-drill, or what is called spot drill, and this one digs just right down where the center punch is, so I went with this one down to about the diameter of this one. Then I changed over to Grandpa's old drilling machine, and some bonus information. This one is 53 years old, he told me, and still going strong. So skill seems to be made in the Netherlands. Can't see too much here, but this one works just fine. So it's possible to get some nicer chips with this one. And yeah, I will do some drilling might record a small clip when I'm drilling with this one. So I now drilled and threaded all the holes. Took about 20 minutes, and they seem to line up good with the holes in the rail. So I'm happy so far. So let's try and put some screws in there. I think you're gonna like my manual milling machine more than this router, since it's pretty boring that it's taking so long time. Hopefully it will go a bit faster now when I'm upgrading it a bit. So all the screws fitted just fine except for this one here in the middle. I wasn't able to tighten that one simply with this one and my fingers, so there is some chip stuck in here, so I will try to put some WD-40 in and see if it will disappear. Let's make a new triangle. Yep, so was some chips there in the way, but some WD-40 got rid of them. So I like to drill the holes a bit deeper than necessary, since the chips can fall down there in case there are some that one can't get out. But yeah, here we have it. So now it's just to try to align these ones and see how high of precision we got here. So I just tightened the screws, and I noticed that this one here was a bit bent. There was a mag gap in between here, so it really got down a bit when I tightened the screw here in the middle. But I haven't done any adjustments at all. So this is how it looks like. We are at 73. And then it goes to 80, which means that the rail should be in a bit here in the middle. Then it goes back to almost 73. So this is a bit tricky. I will have to put the camera away and try some stuff out to see if I can fix this. Right, so I managed to get the rail pretty good in sideways, but it looked terrible in height compared to the other one. So I came up with this little thing. So I just dragged this one back and forth, and then I advanced about a quarter of a turn between every 2 strokes, and that clearly removed the high spot, Would be nice if this could be seen on YouTube, because I'm really happy with this. But yeah, don't really know if the height issue is on this rail or over here, but this high spot clearly will help to. So this is how it looks right now. So you can see that we still got a high spot here. It goes up and then it goes down. So that is about 0.05 of a millimeter. So I will try to take some more material off with this shaper technique and see if it gets any better. I also have flat stone here that I can use as reference, but I could feel that this one here, or this one was had a high spot, so I haven't measured with this one yet, but I will do that later to confirm that they both are aligned. Alright, so I will continue to do some more shaping. Right, so this is how it looks. Right, so here we'll have a close-up of this area that I just took off. Right, so I did take off some more material on this one and as well as on the other one, and both these two seem to have kind of like a high spot at a similar location, which is somewhere around here in the middle, but a bit more to me. But this shaper method actually improved it a lot, so I will do it some more, and perhaps I will try to grind a bit with some fine sandpaper or something like that at the end, or some polishing. I don't know. Anyways, I'm using this flat stone here that I got for the first time, which is awesome. Super happy with this one. So with help of this one, I can see that this rail here is about 10 hundredths of a millimeter higher than this one, which would have been impossible to see without this. So I will use this one and check it out, and will also try to check parallelism with this one, and this is what this one is actually for. This one is grinded on this side and on the other side, so that one can check that stuff is parallel. Right, so now I'm learning something new again. I actually tried some scraping for the first time, and it didn't look pretty, but it helps a lot. So now I'm pretty much at the zero. Only took about an hour to scrape it off. I scraped way more off than I needed on one side at first, and then I had to scrape down the other side, but now it's pretty flat in the middle here. But at the ends, you can see here, it will be, I have to take off about 5 hundredths of a millimeter, just a little, and it's the same thing on this end. Oops, sorry about that. It goes up just a little here in the end, so I will try to just take off a tiny bit, and then I think I'll be happy, since it's pretty straight here in the middle, and that's what's most important. I will try to face these ones off later when I have opportunity. So yeah, always nice to learn something new.